This weekend, the Australian Diamonds suffer a shock Commonwealth Games exit from the gold medal match. Welcome to the Sports Playbook. I'm Daniel, and we are Australia's weekly sports news podcast covering men's and women's sports. So here's everything that happened this weekend in sports. In rugby league, the Roosters put on an absolute clinic. The Sydney Roosters posted the third highest score in rugby league history, 82-12 against the North Queensland Cowboys. Sam Walker, who is currently in negotiations with the Sydney Roosters, scored 36 points in an impressive display by Sam Walker. But the Roosters, the third highest score and the most points achieved in the National Rugby League era. The last time a score was posted like this was back in 1935. That just goes to show the perspective of how well this Roosters team put North Queensland to the axe. With that victory, the Sydney Roosters now sit second in the overall competition, only 2 points behind the Penrith Panthers. This round was important for the overall context heading into the final series. The Dolphins picked up a close victory against the Dragons. The Dragons are showing plenty of fight, but the scores and the wins are just not there for this club. But they only went down by 6 points in a gutsy display. But the Bulldogs, they sent the Melbourne Storm packing. For the first time since 2010, the Melbourne Storm will not feature in the NRL Final Series, which goes to show the amazing consistency that the Melbourne Storm have had for over 15 years to get into the NRL Finals. But the Bulldogs, with that victory, head into the top 8. So this means the bottom end of the top 8 is getting very tight in the race towards the NRL Finals. The Warriors went back to their winning ways with a massive victory over the Titans, 42-6. And the Newcastle Knights, despite not having Dylan Brown and Dylan Lucas with major injuries there, they've just ended the Brisbane Broncos' chances of getting into the final series, which means the minor premiers from last year, the Canberra Raiders, the Brisbane Broncos, the 2025 premiers, and the Melbourne Storm, who were also in the grand final, those three teams will all miss out on the finals for 2026. It goes to show that nothing ever lasts and you need to earn your place in the NRL Final Series. And we are not even close to locking it in yet. The Sharks also put the NRL on notice, defeating the Rabbitohs 32-16. And as we record this podcast, Sunday, the 2nd of August at 5:35 p.m, it is currently level. The West Tigers are playing the Eels and it's 12 apiece with 18 minutes to go. In AFL, Josh Fraser is Carlton's saviour. Carlton just pulled off a 78-point victory, defeating the back-to-back premiers, the Brisbane Lions. Yep, you heard that first. And under Josh Fraser, who has taken over as head coach, Fraser has led Carlton to 9 wins and only 2 losses. And Fraser is set to make his decision this week whether he'll continue on as head coach with the Carlton Footy Club. I'm guessing that most Carlton fans will be begging that Josh Fraser stays on, as what Carlton are showing is absolutely impressive. 154-78. In the other games, Geelong got a massive victory over Collingwood by 25 points. The Fremantle Dockers, they posted a big victory over the Western Bulldogs by 37 points. The Sydney Swans, they continue on their winning ways, 107-88. In the other games, Hawthorn recorded a 16-point victory over North Melbourne. The GWS Giants beat Port Adelaide by 12 points, and Richmond beat the West Coast Eagles in a tight match by 11 points. But there's still 2 games going as we record this podcast. Melbourne Demons currently lead the Gold Coast Suns by 8 points with over 10 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. And then the Adelaide Crows are currently leading the Essendon Bombers 60-31, and they are about halfway through the second quarter. So ones to watch there. In football, a Socceroo is set for a massive payday. Lucas Herrington, the 18-year-old Socceroo who made his debut for the Socceroos at the FIFA World Cup this year, is set for a massive payday in the Premier League. The newly promoted Hull City is willing to pay the 18-year-old $35 million Australian. So in pounds, that is £21 million. An incredible amount of money for the 18-year-old. So this deal for Lucas Herrington, £21.5 million, plus 15% for a future sale, is set to become the biggest transfer of any Socceroo player in history. This deal, if it pays off for Hull City, is set to eclipse the last Socceroo transfer record, and that was $25 million when Leicester City bought Harry Souttar from Stoke City. Lucas Herrington, at 18 years old, made his debut for the Socceroos in March of 2026. He made his World Cup debut this year and was an absolute standout as a defender. And now he's set for a massive payday. So one to watch for Socceroo fans, and congratulations to Lucas if this contract comes off. This week's talking point is the Australian Diamonds. The Diamonds were sensationally knocked out at the gold medal match by Jamaica. In the second semi-final, the Diamonds took on Jamaica at the Hydro in Scotland, and Jamaica came out firing and put the Australian Diamonds on the back foot instantly. For the Diamonds, they never truly looked on top when it came to this contest, but there are a couple of key changes that kept them in. At the start of the second quarter, the Australian Diamonds decided to make a switch in the goal shooter position. Sophie Garvin came off and Cara Cohen came in. And this is where Shamira Sterling-Humphrey and Latonya Wilson from Jamaica, they started to get a little bit uneasy because they weren't able to defend Cara as she was moving within that circle. And Cara and Kira Austin formed a great duo and they took it to Jamaica, but it wasn't enough. Jamaica ended up winning this game 46-45. And for the Australian Diamonds, they had one shot to send the game into extra time, where Sophie Dwyer had one shot and she unfortunately didn't make it. And this was an interesting call because for the Australian Diamonds, they sent Sophie Dwyer in to swap with Kira Austin with 7 minutes remaining in the game. At this point, the Diamonds were down by 3 goals and they were always chasing the lead back. They did eventually get right close to it, but for Sophie, she hadn't had any game time in that semi-final and she got chucked in at the highest pressure situation, which makes you think, was that the right tactical call at the time, or is it better to keep Kira Austin on court when she knew what the tempo of the game was and could have set up for the match winner? But full credit to Jamaica, they absolutely outclassed the Australian Diamonds, and for Jamaica, they created history because for the first time in the Commonwealth Games, the Australian Diamonds have missed out on the gold medal match. But in the gold medal match, Jamaica will be taking on the Silver Ferns tonight at 10 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Saving Time. So in the bronze medal match, the Australian Diamonds will take on the England Roses. For Australia, it's crucial to get that bronze medal and to head home with some form of recognition for the amazing tournament they've had to date. But the England Roses can cause that upset. In the group stages, the Australian Diamonds did defeat the England Roses quite comfortably. But bronze medal match, anything goes, and this will be a super interesting game. For the Silver Ferns against Jamaica, this contest will be absolutely fascinating. For the Silver Ferns, they have faced adversity over the last 12 months. Their coach, Dame Nonleen Tarua, she potentially wasn't going to be the Silver Ferns coach, with Netball New Zealand having a massive fight with her. But they've now been able to get to the Commonwealth Games gold medal match. Plus, half of their players face an uncertain future when they go back to New Zealand because the ANZ Championship has no financial security for 2027. And when you look to Jamaica, they were the silver medalists in the 2022 Commonwealth Games. They lost to Australia at the time, and they are riding an absolute high. But one question remains, did they play the gold medal match in the semi-final? So that is this week's big talking point. So let's head into the state of play. Where do things stand in the NRL and in the AFL ladder? Let's take a look at the NRL. The Panthers lead the competition by 36 points, and they are closely followed behind by the Sydney Roosters, the Warriors, and the Sharks. They round out your top 4. The Sharks are on 32 points. 5th position, the Dolphins, 30 points. Then the Knights, Rabbitohs, and the Bulldogs, they round out your top 8. But just outside the top 8, you have the Cowboys, same points as the Bulldogs on 26. The Seagulls sit 10th with 24 points. So realistically, the Cowboys and the Seagulls are the last two teams that could probably make it into the NRL final series, so one to watch there. In the AFL, this is where things get interesting, because after this round, there's only 3 rounds left until we head into the wildcards. So round 22, 23 and 24. So Fremantle lead with 72 points, and if they win one more game, they will win the minor premiership for 2026. Followed by the Sydney Swans, Hawthorn, Crows, Brisbane Lions and Melbourne Demons. They round out your top 6. We head into the wildcard placings. This is where things get very fascinating. Geelong on 48 points, followed by the Western Bulldogs, Collingwood and Carlton. So Carlton just slip into the wildcard placings, and the two teams that could potentially get into the wildcard is St Kilda on 36 points and GWS Giants also on 36 points. So they are only one win away from maybe getting into the wildcard placings. So Carlton are just on that fringe, so one to watch in AFL land. So that is your weekend wrap and all of your sports news from this weekend. And on Thursday, I'll be back with this week's big stories. So until then, follow the Sports Playbook on all the socials and listen wherever you get your podcasts. If you're still listening, please send this podcast to one more person that's never listened to the Sports Playbook before. They will get their fast sport news without any noise. Thanks for listening. We will catch you on the next episode.